Hey, it's Craig Syracusa, and welcome to another episode of Walk in Faith, the show where we go beyond the image and we discover who our guests really are. You might know them from TV, from the big screen, or even the world of sports, but do we really know who they are as a person? Do we know what motivates them? Do we know what inspires them? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Today I have the pleasure of talking to Joey Travolta. The name Travolta is Hollywood royalty, but though he pursued an acting career in his youth, he moved on to devote his life to helping children and adults with disabilities. He now runs summer camps and year-round programs that teach people with autism about filmmaking. And he's here today to tell us more about them. Stick around, walk with us. Thank you for sitting down with me. I was reading a lot about you. I mean, you are extremely interesting. I mean, you're a singer, director, producer. I mean, now you're running these camps. Like, what haven't you done? Is there anything you haven't done in your career?
Ballet dancing.
Ballet dance?
Stay away from ballet dancing. No. No, the way I learned filmmaking was from the other side of the camera, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. My first job that I ever did was called Sunnyside, and I starred in my first feature. And I had never been on a set before. And as soon as I got to that, I wanted to know what everybody did. And I wanted to know what camera did. I wanted to know what lighting, what grip, the drivers, everything. I wanted to know everything. So I had an education from being on the set and getting paid as an actor, but I spent my time with the crew. I hung out with the crew. I wanted to know everything, and that's how I got my education with film. And it just wasn't so much, I didn't care as much about the final product as the process. It was the process of how films were made. That last week, when now everybody's looking for the next job, it's like the last day of school. And when I started directing films later, I always kept my crews together. And I thought that was you get more out of having a team that's worked together. But it was that sense of family. And that's what I instill in the camps and the adult programs that we have in California.
And how old were you when you were in your first film?
I was 28.
28. It must have been a lot different back then, like the films and just the aspect.
Well, everything was done on film. Not that that's only changed recently. The whole marketing of films. There's so many outlets now for content. I mean, there's millions of stations and YouTubers, and it's just insane. There's more opportunities for young filmmakers. They're not getting the big bucks that they do. The top, the echelon, the elite, they get the big money, but there's such a far range between the low end, but you can learn on that low end.
Anyone could be a filmmaker, and I think it's great because you get to express yourself and express, some of the thoughts that you have.
It gives you a voice. That's what this is all about, giving people voices and opportunities. But working with kids with autism and special needs, they feel like they're a part of something. They're usually not included. They're not a part of something. So for them to be a part of something that has an outcome, like a film, they're a part. It's like in school, if you get an A on a paper, you put it in the drawer and that's it. You tell your parents. But when you make a film, that's forever. And you get to share it, whether good, bad, or indifferent. It's your child. It's like, you're a part of that. And we did that together, where most of the time it's not about them, never included, then it becomes a we. And we, being a part of a family, is the most important aspect of what I do.
And now, I mean, obviously your last name Travolta. I mean, in Hollywood, it's royalty.
Yeah.
When did you first get the bug, or when did you first decide you wanted to get into this business? And then you made the transition and you studied special education. When did that?
In high school, I promised my father that I would finish college. I'm the only one in my family that finished college. And I said, I'm going to do it. I stuck with it. And in school, I was always the protector of the special needs kids. and several of my friends were special needs, and it was a part of the household I grew up in. My father was the most inclusive man that you have ever met.
What do you think your father would say to you if he was here?
Oh, yeah, Joey, this is fantastic. I love what you're doing. You may give me a hug. Yeah, that's probably just say something like that.
That's nice.
Very sweet man. They used to say, everybody in the neighborhood was, this was what everybody used to say. Hey, Joey, your father, he's a god. Your father's a god. But he was like the humble he was just a humble man, and I grew up Catholic, Italian Catholic, and my mother was Irish Catholic, so.
So you went to church, you prayed the rosary.
Yeah, we went to church until the NFL package came about. Then
That's funny, actually. In my parish, that's one of the issues that we have.
They should show the games.
Yeah, I should. But what's funny that they're concerned about kids going to church on Sunday, but yet they have baseball, football, and basketball on Sunday morning. So I'm like, why don't you just make it mandatory? But that's
exactly.
a whole nother story.
Well, my father always had this belief that that you treat people well. If you look at all religions, any religion, the basic thread is being kind. And that's what our campaign is. That's what our camp is this year. We're calling it Camp Kindness.
That's nice.
And it's all based around acts of kindness. The films. So each film. So let me tell you how the camp runs. Okay. So we get there the first day, and I usually give out props. We have 3 groups. There's 50 kids.
Okay.
Each group, 15 to 16 kids, they go with their teachers and with the props. This year we didn't do props. I said, this year your prop is an act of kindness. So the script that you create, whatever the hero does, whatever the turnaround of the film is, has got to be around an act of kindness, which most heroes, that's what it is. So they go off, then they start developing their scripts. Then, well, first we start off with dance every day. So I believe that there is a rhythm to music, there's a rhythm to dance, and there's a rhythm to filmmaking, and there's a rhythm to life. So we get them all warmed up in the morning. So day 2, I interview every camper, and I'll usually ask like 8 questions. And then that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, I go to each group, and 2 members of that group will pitch me their story, and I have to prove it. And once I approve it, then they go into a production. And I've never, disapproved. I don't have time to, except for only one, in 12 years of doing camps. Because after, I was depressed after hearing the pitch. I said, no, you can't make this film. You got to go rewrite it. But luckily it was the younger groups who had a little more time. So they pitch, I approve, then a day and a half each one, they make a 5 to 7 short film. This year we did we're doing a music video called A Simple Act of Kindness.
Okay.
And my writing partner, I wrote a song, and they're also making 1 to 2 minute short act of kindness PSAs. Now all of those are going to be shown at the Bentonville Film Festival in Arkansas. That is hosted by Gina Davis, and it's sponsored by Coca-Cola and Walmart. It's actually Walmart's, but the whole film festival is about women filmmakers, diversity, and inclusion. So, and we're a big part of that film festival now.
So now, when the kids, do you assign them different positions, like you're a camera operator based on sort of the skill? Do they rotate roles?
They rotate. That's the design of the program, but obviously, you know how long it takes to set up and do things. When you think about what we do in less than 50 hours, because it's 25 hours a week, and you have lunch, you have dance in the morning, and the last day, we're done. So in 40 hours, we're making an hour content. We usually have 3 cameras going. So between the interviews, making the films, and then what'll happen is we'll cut together like a 35-minute documentary about the making of, intercut with the interviews and their pitches and all of that, and then behind the scenes of the making of the films. And then it's the content, like we've done different things. Like last year we did Judge Joey, and I was the judge on it was a copyright infringement between the three, they're plaintiffs and defendants.
Okay.
So it was a way to show the films in a fun way. So we have clever ways of doing something each year. This is the Kindness Network. So
I like that a
that'll
lot.
be the second part. Well, you should come to the
I would.
the red carpet screening.
So most of the kids that are, in these film camps, they're on the spectrum, they're
Yeah.
autistic.
Yeah.
Can you now, can you explain sort of where did this term come from, spectrum? What does it mean? What's it?
Well, there's just varying degrees of autism, and the spectrum has widened. Most people, when they think of autism, they think of Rain Man, high intelligence and repetition, and echolalia, where it's so wide. You have Asperger's, which is the highest end of the spectrum, and it's a neurological disorder. It's the processing of the brain, and it's just widened, and it's growing, because when I started it was 1 in 166, and now it's like 1 in 60.
Yeah, 65 or 68 it was.
Yeah. So it's increased, but I don't, the science of it, I don't know. I deal with it. All I know is these kids take to film.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives them a voice, and it's a powerful thing. They just love it. When I go in, first thing, most people say, well, my kid's not going to fit in, or, how are you going to get these kids to do it? I come in, I start clapping first thing, everybody starts clapping. That's quiet on the set, you won't hear a pin drop. And these are 50 kids with special needs. They're ready to go. What I do is I start a train, and we go. And they jump on board, and my bar is up here. If you need help to get up there, I'm going to help you. But we go, and they jump on. I think in the 12 years I've been doing this, we've had maybe 4 kids that it just wasn't the right fit for, which is a pretty good record over, thousands and thousands of kids. So they just really take to filmmaking.
So beyond filmmaking, or during the filmmaking process, what type of advantages do they have? I mean, or disadvantages?
With them, advantages with people on the spectrum, well, they're very task-driven, and they won't quit. They won't, So I'm finding the employment for them is in editing, and in animation, and sound. They're just really good at those, repetition and doing jobs, and they're very committed to it. The program in California, we train adults, and there are 20-week programs there, and we have acting classes, camera classes, editing classes that all go on throughout the whole 20-week period. Then together we develop a 30-minute film as we go, and that film becomes the lesson plan. So they get to apply everything they learned in a practical sense when we make the films. We build sets. Wow. We do everything. And it's a really cool program. So we do 2 20-week sessions, and then we have the production company that goes along with it.
So there's a lot of kids that are on the spectrum because there's a high unemployment rate, right?
Yeah.
And why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's not that they're not able to do it, it's the social aspect. That's the great thing about filmmaking, there's a social aspect to it. When we go out to look for a location, I'll take the guys with me so they see how it's done, and then we put them in that same situation. So being around and being a part of the team, because most of the time they're not included, so they don't get that practice. So we get them to the point where they're able to work in a work environment. We have two with us right now on the road that that parents thought they would never work, and they're doing great, and they're traveling. We did a documentary called Lights, Camera, Independence.
I saw some of that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was about 6 young people from the adult program coming on the road, working at the camps, getting their per diem, getting to feel what it's like, to stay in a hotel room and get paid, you know, and socialize and have to manage your money, in kind of a fun environment. I mean, filmmaking's fun.
Oh, yeah. It's not even like it's a job, but at the same time we enjoy
Yeah.
it.
If you
I
can
mean,
make
I
a
love
living
it.
at it,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of fun. So.
Are any two kids or any kids that are on spectrum alike? Do they have similar disabilities?
Well, everybody's different. There's certain patterns, but it's like anybody. We're all different. We all have a different fingerprint, or DNA is different. I love working with kids on the spectrum because they think outside the box. It's a whole different approach.
Do you see in some of them, because for instance, let's say you and I have an idea, sometimes we're a little fearful or insecure about how people react to it. Do they show the same sort of emotion or fear, or are they just, because they think outside the box, it just doesn't affect them?
The one great thing about our folks is that they're kind of fearless with, especially with acting. They'll go for it. If I'll have a group sometimes, because I've done camps that were full inclusion, where we had 25 normal, neural, I don't know what that means, but anyway, a mixed group, and it's the kids with special needs that get up and
excel. Yeah,
they're not afraid. They just go because they don't have all those. They haven't experienced that.
So now, what makes your film camp so unique? Are there certain things that they could learn, say, in a school atmosphere, a school environment, or in an arts class? What makes it so unique?
Well, I think, again, it's that, it's just what film, every school should have a filmmaking program in it. It's the greatest way to teach life skills and social skills, because everything that goes into filmmaking goes into everyday life.
Do you have any success stories that you can share with us?
There's several. For example, the 6 kids that were in the documentary are now working full-time.
Wow.
That's a success story. And they're working in this business. And each new facility we open up, we always leave 3 positions open for former students from the program. I've had a young lady that has her own animation studio, and she's graduating college. I think when people get hired in the business, we had a couple that worked on that series Neighbors that was on he worked for a couple of seasons. And anytime you see that, and the cool thing about him was his first day on the set, we sent somebody with him, and call time was 6:30. When the trucks got there at 6:30, he was there. He had been there since 5:30. He jumped right in. He started helping out with craft service. And this is a big production. It was the show Neighbors. Yeah. And the guy that I sent with him, that was a line producer guy, they said, he's fine, go home. And he worked for 2 years. That to me is a great success story.
Do you still stay in contact with a lot of the students?
Yeah, they're always, they're always emailing, or, some of them are still involved because they started at 10 and now they're just about to age out. So
what would you like to say about film camp, and now that you're aged out and you can't come back, and it's sad.
Wait a minute, let's hold the presses over here right now. Let me give me the mic.
All right. We had a little discussion about aging out at 23. Because of people like you, John, and how much you love the camp, and there are a lot of other adults that would like to continue.
Dino is one of them.
Yeah. We are changing the age.
What?
To 28.
So you're not going anywhere.
How did you get involved with Marble Jam Kids? How did that come about?
God, it was 8 years ago. Someone had gotten in touch with me, and we just started talking, and we put together the first camp, and it's been going ever since. So.
And today's the last day of...
Today's the last day of year 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now, so in Hollywood, because I know you were able to, for instance, like the show Neighbors, does Hollywood accept autistic kids or people on the spectrum?
I've been breaking down the doors for the last 10 years. They are now. The biggest problem is HR with big corporations, because it's an HR nightmare. Well, what if we don't like them? What if we have to get rid of them? So there are a few things that we're working on putting in place to take that equation out of it. But now that they're given opportunities, they're showing they can do it, that opens up the door for somebody else. And, you know, it's not, it's they got to go in there and perform. I'm not looking for someone to hire somebody that can't do the job.
Of course.
Our guys can do the job. If you guys are going out and you needed a couple extra crew, I would give you 2 guys that I guarantee you'd want to hire again. Because if I hire them, you know, I know you can hire them.
And now you live in California. Are you able to
Yeah.
pull in any of your sort of celebrity friends or contacts to come and mentor the kids during these 2 weeks?
Well, Dee Dee Khan's here today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she
Greece.
stopped by. Barry Pearl, who is from Greece, he is one of my teachers. So, you know, Joe Montagna we use quite a bit, but I'm on the road so much with that. When we do something, you know, I haven't really needed to do that because I don't need to fundraise. You know, mine's more of awareness. So, you know, if I had a nonprofit and I was doing that, I would call on people, but I don't. I call on people to hire people. So that's where I go, producer friends and stuff like that. Say, hey, give our kids a shot.
And now, so when they finish the project here, when is the red carpet event? When is that coming?
Red carpet event, I think, is in, they didn't give me the date, but it's usually late October, November.
That's got to be a great experience for them.
Yeah, well, they, you know, everyone is. I don't get to go to all of them, but the ones that I've been to have been, you know, quite special. And they get their DVD and
That's amazing.
their certificate, and I don't know what else they give out, but it's pretty much fun.
So just last 2 questions. What's on the horizon? What are you working on now? What do you have coming up?
We're doing a show called Inclusion Short Films, and basically what it is kind of like Project Greenlight. I go to each workshop. They pitch me on 3 projects. I pick one, and the first half is the making of, and the second half is the actual movie. And Cox Communications has picked it up, so we start airing in September.
That's great.
I'll send you a promo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think the ultimate plan is for your life? What do you think God's plan is for you?
Oh, God or my wife?
Well, either one.
Well,
They're in the same sort of vein,
you
right?
know, I think I think he's, you know, this has been a blessing. It really has, and I love what I do. You know, I'm passionate about what I do, and that passion breeds passion, and that's why I hire people that have that. It's more important. I don't care as much about the film skills as having a good heart, because I can teach the film skills. But you know, we want to continue to grow. I'm 66 now, and I have no plans on stopping. You know, but we're, you know, hopefully we'll get a program going back here. That's a big goal of mine, and you know, just you know, continuing relationship with like NBA and Samsung and you know, those kind of companies, and I want to get some, you know, get them to start hiring people, start taking a look at our folks.
I like that. And if parents want to contact you or get involved?
Yeah, if they go to the Inclusion Films website, they can get in touch with me directly through that. And, you know, for the Camp Back Here Marble Jam kids, they can go to their website. I'll give you that.
We'll
so
put
you
it on the
can
bottom. Yeah, we'll
post
promote it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice talking. I mean, you're a true inspiration. I mean, you've
Thank you.
devoted your life to helping
Thank you.
helping kids.
All right, well, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you. God bless.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, that's our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Always remember, we have the ability to inspire and evangelize through our words and actions. Till next time, thanks for walking with us.